A lot of people may ask, who is Little Richard? Well, to the Rolling Stones magazine and to artists such as Elvis Presley, the Beatles, uh, Jeremy Lewis, he's known as the pioneer of rock, the founding father, as you can say. He's known for his flamboyancy and his lively shows. His hit songs such as Tutti Frutti and Long Tall Sally during the mid 1950s, those songs were defining moments in the development of rock and roll. So, we're going to discuss his early years and how he found his love of rock and how he actually quit rock and found gospel. And he came back eventually, and then we'll discuss his awards and honors. So, to start off, Richard Wayne Penniman, he was born December 5th, 1932 in Macon, Georgia. He was the third of 12 children. He always grew up around church. His uncles, his father, his grandfather, they were all pastors. His father was very stern, very strict. He was already shaming him for early signs of homosexuality. So by the age of 13, he was kicked out of the house. Him and his father were never able to redeem their relationship because at the age of 19, his father was shot dead. So he was taken in by this couple who owned a club in Macon, and that's where he started performing his shows, where he found his love of music because, well, he grew up in church, so he was always singing gospel, and he learned how to play the piano there, which now leads us into the next stage in his life with music. His first break that he ever got was in Atlanta at a radio station. That's where he got his first record deal at the age of 15 with RCA. But because of his genre of music, he was only performing blues at the time. It didn't really get to showcase his true talents. So his career didn't take off like he had wanted to. However, in 1955, Richard hooked up with a recording artist named Art Pope, and that's where they recorded Tutti Frutti, which made to number 17 on the billboards. Then over the next year and a half, he made more hits that were well known today, such as Good Golly Miss Molly and his highest rating song on the billboard at number 6, which is Long Tall Sally. He also influenced people such as Elvis Presley and Jerry Lee Lewis and the Beatles. They all made their own renditions of his songs. Unfortunately, although his music career was taking off with rock, his church roots were calling him home. He committed himself back to the ministry. And recorded several gospel songs. He had a debut album in 1959 called God is Real. And then shortly after, a couple years after, 1960, he released 3 more gospel albums. But in 1964, he realized that his heart is with rock, and he came back. So in 1986, he was one of the 10 original inductees into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He was a recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Academy of Recording Artists and Sciences in 1993. A year later, he got the Rhythm and Blues Foundation. They honored him with the Pioneer Award. 2003, he was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. And his last nominee award type thing that he got was in 2008. the Rolling Stones magazine listed him as number 12 in the top 100 greatest artists of all time. Unfortunately, May 9th of 2020, he passed away in Nashville, Tennessee due to bone cancer at the age of 87. He lived a long, full life. Like I said, he's known as the pioneer of rock and roll. He has the utmost respect from well-known artists like the Beatles and Elvis Presley, Jeremy Lee Lewis. I mean, he lived a good life. But yeah, so we discussed his early stages and how he came to love the church and how he grew up in the church, and that's how he came to love music, which led him to his passion of rock, and how he had a rocky start, fell out, found gospel again, but eventually found his roots back to rock. And that concludes this speech. Thank you.